It's good to have some familiar faces. Everybody, I think it's recording now. Everybody I've either worked with one-to-one here or has got a good experience of this class or has good experience of some of the techniques and things. But here is the overview. Full body class, all right? And then as promised, it will be spine, but we will start with some breathing drills, all right? The reason for the breathing drills is control of the rib cage takes some of the pressure off the spine. A lot of us are pointing upwards with this rib cage, all right? And we're breathing very shallow and we're using a lot of neck stuff, all right? And that sort of feeds into this triangle of death, which makes us all very tight up in the thoracic region, which is the upper part of the back. You also think we're here all day, all right? So we don't get a lot of extension. So that rib cage is faking that sort of spine up, but we're still sort of rounded, which is why we get very tight in the middle. So breathing stuff, bear with me on that. It's definitely something that you can take into any practice that you do, either training or just learning to breathe better in the whole throughout the day. Then we will get into the main crux of it, which is your sort of pails and rails, flexion and extension. So that's rounding the back and then extending, cat cow, different positions for that. If this goes well today, we will come back and revisit just spine class, and then we will take in a little bit of rotation in that second class. The reason for that is because unlike the rest of the body where we focus on rotation first, spine is always flexion, extension, and then secondary is rotation. All right, without further ado, find a position that you're comfortable in. We will start traditionally from the top. If you can't sit like me, that's fine. All right, and then one hand on chest, one hand on belly button. That gives you feedback. Okay, and we just want to be moving the neck now. So I'm going to go double chin, pull double chin, crown of the head up towards the ceiling, and then trace your collarbone to its natural end. No pain on the closing angle. Ear behind shoulder. Again, no pain on that closing angle. Looking up towards the ceiling. Stretch through the throat. Keep it smooth. You don't have to try and rip your neck off your shoulders here. Left ear, left shoulder. Eye line down. Trace the collarbone. And to the left. We'll do 2 circles. All right. If you find something, because we've got some experienced guys here, if you find something of interest and you want to kind of reverse back, rewind, that's fine. Paying attention to the urge to twist and back the other way, right hand side. Back left. Stretch through that throat rather than just closing the back. Okay, give yourself a nice big hug, or hands across chest if you can't do that. Forward fold from the thoracic. You can be standing here. So take the sternum down, take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to rotate to the side. Keep the hips facing forward. Right shoulder, right pocket. You'll feel that stretch left hand side of the rib cage. And then take your sternum up towards the ceiling. Still leaning over to the right. Up and across. This is that extension pattern. Left. Or left shoulder, left pocket. Feel that open side on the right hand side of that rib cage. Forward fold. We're going to come back to this a bit later. Try and make a mental note of how this feels now. Whether you feel, well, some people just, it is a tricky one, right? Don't feel that coordinated here. Then once we go through some of the breathing drills and then opening up that spine, does it feel different towards the end? Hopefully the answer is yes. Rotate to the right again. Right shoulder, right pocket. Some people like to, well, have told me that they like to think about this as drawing a figure of 8. Left shoulder, left pocket. Use the breath. Forward fold. From this side, forward fold, rotate to the left. Left shoulder, left pocket. Don't fall over. Sternum up towards the ceiling. See how I'm still laterally flexed to the left? Then I can come across right shoulder, right pocket, and then forward fold. Your favorite position for shoulders, either handstand by your side. I'm going to just come up, tuck my tailbone. I'm going to use the seam on my shorts here. So I know that I'm not swinging my arms, but I'm going to raise my shoulders up towards my earlobes. And then I'm going to bring my shoulder blades forward so they wrap around, all right, wrap around my rib cage rather than just moving my hands forward, and then try to put my hands in my pockets, squeeze a pencil between my shoulder blades. Again, notice that I'm not going backwards, I'm not bending my elbows, up towards the ears, and then follow that circle again. You can do this one shoulder blade at a time if you want to. Back the other way, up, retract, stay retracted as I then put my hands in my pockets, and then protract forward. Up. Just by doing this one, you might be feeling something in that sort of triangle of death in the shoulder, in this trap region. Keep going. Squeeze. All right, both wrists at the same time. We are trying not to move the forearm. This is there as a bit of a guide here. All right, so as I bring my palms towards me, fingers are straight in my example here, little fingers in towards the middle, open palms, show me you got nothing in your hands, really push to the edge, thumb a lift on the outside, and then coming back up. Same again, same way. A little bit of rotation from my forearm there, which is why this fell off. That's a guide you could just as easily give yourself tactical feedback or a constraint, hold, and then work that wrist this way. All right. I think we've got one person here. Hey, am I supposed to be letting in? Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Open, open, both sides. If you're doing both at the same time, that's fine. Elbows now, another tricky one. Elbows or arms straight, palms facing outwards. All right, you're going to bring the arms or bend at the elbow. Little finger is sort of outside the line of the bicep because I'm rotating my palms to face the wall behind. I reach that end range and then I rotate from the elbow across. Now I don't have great movement here, but I'm trying not to chicken wing. Okay, so it's this bone helixing, twisting over each other, comes here, and then I push just shy of straight, and then I come back, rotate across, and then open. Last time. Down. Is difficult, this one. Again, some people just moving from the wrist here. Do make sure that that is being initiated from the elbow joint. All right. Your favorite position for straight arm cars now. Across the body, straight arm. You don't have to be here. One hand on the rib cage. Keep an eye on where that rib cage is so that you're not flexing, extending, or lifting up. All right. Across the body, up past the nose, straight arm. Rib cage still down. Rotate from the shoulder, stretch behind, into extension, and then back of the hand to face the body inwards. Stretch behind, relay race, shoulder back, rib cage down, rotate thumb towards the ceiling, keep stretching backwards, up past the ear, past the face. All right. If you're like this, you're really kind of tight, that's fine. All right, work with the shoulder that you have. Okay, not trying to make my shape. So across the body, past the ear, rib cage down. Rotate from the shoulder, not just the wrist, stretch behind. Back, rotate. You can see how I squirm into the left there. And across, nice. Okay, across the body. Open, rotate. Keep it smooth, back of the hand to face the leg, stretch behind, rib cage down. That's the first instance where you might flare. Rib cage down, rotate, up, and across the face. Last time, across, up, as high as you can without lifting the chest. Rotate from the shoulder, stretch behind, back of the hand to face the leg. Relay race, rotate. Right, it's a bit of best practice. We will do the lower body as well, even though this is a spinal class, but 90 degrees here, tuck the tailbone a little bit. Hand out to the side, push this base into the floor, bring the knee in towards the chest. Open up like a dog having a belly scratch. Stay a little bit tucked here. Internally rotate, keep rotating. Once you max out that rotation, donkey kick behind you. And then lower down. Bring it in again. In. Shorten this tissue. Open up. Feel a stretch on the inside leg, but don't roll over onto your back. Stay tucked. Internally rotate. The reason you stay tucked here is because if you want to load the hip, you want to unload the spine. If you're still sticking your tailbone out, it's going to get very tight very quickly in that hip, and you're going to have less room. Donkey kick back, lower down. Then we go the reverse. Donkey kick. Keep kicking backwards, so squeeze that bum as you elevate. Rotate up towards the armpit and then back down. Back. Elevate. Rotate. Up towards the elbow and then down. Other side. Keep it going, keep it smooth. In. Open. Oh, feeling that work that I did yesterday. Tucked. Keep rotating as you kick back and down. Into the chest. Open. Rotate. Donkey kick. Back down. Back the other way. Push arm into the floor, push leg down into the floor. Ribcage down. Elevate up over the gate. Nice. Keep it smooth. See here, as I kick back, I run out of room, and I want to do this. So I'm trying to keep my ribcage down. That's better for me. Elevate over the gate. Nearly there. Seated, I think. All right. Heel into the floor, looking down the shin, the shank, using these hamstrings to get rotation of the knee. Okay, so we externally rotate the knee, shorten the hamstrings on this side. If you want to make sure that you're not moving from the hip, you can come under and do the guillotine. Pull the toes up towards you, externally rotate. We'll feel it in the shin, we may even feel it in the ankle a little bit, but that movement is being pulled across by this hamstring. Okay, this outside part of the hamstring. Internal rotation now. Make sure that the big toe comes with the shin, or that it doesn't go on its own and then catches up. Internal rotation of the knee, short side, inside. External rotation of the knee. We'll stay same side, lift up. Ankle now, pull toes towards you. We go eversion, so foot towards the outside. Keep everting as you go through the point. Keep pointing as you bring that big toe in towards the middle. Rotate the foot and then come back up. Might get some popping and cracking in the ankles, that's normal. Bodies make noises, as long as it's pain-free, that's fine. Back the other way. Notice I'm still in this guillotine so that I am not moving from my hip or knee, really trying to make sure that this is just ankle. There's the cracking. Other side. Looking down the shank, all right? Outside hamstrings, externally rotate. Contract here, and the shin will come along for the ride. Internal, you can see that big bump there. It's pretty good for me. I do say so. Normally, I see a little bit of slack, foot going first. So internal, hamstrings contract, contract, contract. You could do this open chain if you wanted to, foot off the floor, and move through some space here. All right, I like in the warm up to keep my heel down, gives me a little bit more feedback. And ankle in your own time. On my left, I tend to want to favor a bit of knee rotation there. So I really have to hold, constrain myself. Last little thing, point toes just as we're on the floor. Keep pointing them as you pull the knees in. As soon as you get tripod on the floor, ball of the foot under the little toe and heel, once they're down, that's where we're going to wiggle toes from this plantar flexion pointed toe position. All toes up, all toes down, big toes down, little toes up, little toes down, big toes up, all toes up, and then a bit of a spread. That, again, moving toes in your own time. And then we're into breathing, all right? So breathing. More and more in my own practice, just getting to grips with the fact that positioning of the rib cage, getting it centered over the pelvis, how it reacts or how it interacts with the pelvis, and then with the feet in terms of the ground strike and stuff. I know that Tim, you're doing a program of mine at the moment that is focusing a lot on that, so this will be familiar to you. Morgs, this is you coming for the first time, and Shu for the first time to this breathing stuff. So if you yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, hopefully you get to grips with it. If you don't, just, you know, the idea here is just to exhale a lot more than you would normally. Lying down on your back, you're going to take your fingers like this, index and thumbs. Okay, these are training breaths, and you're going to take that finger and thumb and give yourself a little pinch here, create this sort of hoop on your lower rib. Okay, through all these next 5 breaths, all right, so I apologize that you're gonna have to put up with me breathing now. I want your lower back to stay on the floor, all right? That's the first thing. Then we will give you some constraints and some physical things to think about, maybe in your own practice, or if you've got a book to hand, we can do that in just a second. So fingers on the rib cage, all right, that lower rib. When we breathe in, it may feel like that hoop is getting wider. As we exhale, we want them to come together, all right? You can push inwards to give you that kind of sensation, but it should be the rib cage contracting. When we breathe in, like I said, we don't want to see arching through the back. You don't need to drive it into the floor, but it does. I do want you to look to keep contact. Take a breath in through the nose now. Breathe out through the mouth. Think about your rib cage coming in towards the midline. Keep your rib cage where it is now. So abs are doing a little bit of work. Take a second breath. It might feel like it's into the belly. Breathe out. Those index fingers coming together again. Breathe in. Expansion into the thumbs. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Rib cage down, wrapping forward. Last breath to make 5. Breathe out. Okay, just stay there while I waffle on. You think about those long lines of tissue coming down from sort of the earlobes into the shoulders, right? You may, now we're getting that rib cage coming down, feel that this is like getting stretched, all right? That is a natural stretch caused by the rib cage's position being down. So if we start to exhale deeper during the day, or just let that rib cage travel downwards, you're going to get a natural stretch in this stuff. And some of that neck tension, if you do experience it in that trap and stuff, can just go away through taking 15 to 25,000 breaths a day, rather than having to go in and like really yank on and stretch. All right. Okay. Hopefully that made some sense. Next 5 breaths. Okay. You're going to breathe in, same thing. As you breathe out, rib cage comes down. Take your hands off your rib cage towards the ceiling, and then keeping that rib cage in position, I want you just to reach over one shoulder and then reach over the other shoulder. Then come back, and then you can breathe again. Into the thumbs. Rib cage in and down. Hold that breath, and in between, reach over the shoulder, reach over the shoulder. Come back in. Breathe in. Lower back still stays in contact with the floor, although you don't need to drive it down. Hopefully you're getting expansion into the thumbs. Breathe out. In the pause, hands towards the ceiling, and then rotate over the shoulder, over the shoulder. Positioning of the ribcage here, okay, down and set. And then this little bit of rotation just opens up some of that thoracic area where the shoulder blades are. So make 3, breathe in, breathe out. Ribcage stays in and down, rotate over the shoulder, reach. Last one, breathe in. Expansion outwards like a big bloated toad, breathe out. So that's your first little bit of spine stuff. A nice, easy thing to do just to free up some of that stuff in the upper back, okay? Pretty low effort. If you have access here towards a wall, okay, good, all right? If you don't, you can do this on the floor. But let's say you did have access to the wall, all right? You put your feet up onto the wall, 90 degrees at the knee. You pull down with your feet, all right? So that loads the hamstrings a little bit. And then what I want you to do is try to curl, and this is the first little bit of spine, well, second little bit of spine stuff, curl your tailbone off the floor. That's not push into the wall, all right? It's a peeling up of just the coccyx. So just a pack of cards underneath, all right? From there, you're going to then go into the breathing, all right? Play around that position. If you don't have access to the wall, that's fine. We can still try and curl that tailbone off the floor, all right? You'll still get a little bit of hamstring here, all right? And then we're going to take 5 breaths from there, all right? So we've gone into spinal flexion, so that early part of cat-cow, or cow in this instance, tucking that tailbone underneath. I will do the ones on the wall, all right? But it's the same thing. But we're going to go for a little bit more of an aggressive exhale, all right? So tailbone curl off the floor, whether you're up against the wall or your feet are on the floor. Hands still, making that hoop around the bottom rib. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, this time I want you to imagine that you're fogging up a mirror. So we go. That really pulls the rib cage down. Keep the rib cage there, breathe in again through the nose. If you're on the wall, keep pulling down through the heels and fog up the mirror. Tailbones curled off to the floor, even if you're just lying on the floor. Breathe in again. Expansion into the thumbs and 2 more breaths. If you're on the wall, pull down with your heels and last breath. Okay, you can just lower down. There, we are activating hamstrings a little bit. And that use of the hamstrings, all right, actually takes us and encourages a little bit of tuck of tail underneath, all right? Many of us are walking around very extended through here. Really exaggerated part of this is everybody probably knows this guy, big old beer belly out here and standing like this, all right? By getting those hamstrings to work a little bit more with the rib cage as well, you can see how tailbone up flares my rib cage as well. So I'm breathing down, right? But then I'm still tailbone up. By pulling down on the wall, all right, I then untuck. No, sorry, I tuck and then I unload that spine a little bit. So you're sort of attacking it from both ends, and that takes some of the pressure out of that lower back. Great drill for early doors if you do sit in a seat a lot, or if you do know that you're just in that that tilt all the time, pelvis pointing downwards, ass in the air, so sort of like a sprinter's model. All right, okay. Now let's get into some of the cat-cow stuff. All right, so a couple of breathing drills. I want you to think about when we're doing the pails and rails, which is techniques that you've used before. That's the isometric ramping up of tension in a particular direction, in a particular position. All right, I want you to think about that rib cage. All right, I want you to think about that rib cage. I want you to think about what it's doing when you're breathing. So rather than hold for time now, we're going to be talking about breaths. All right, so I might say, I will say, you're in extension here, and I want you to take 5 breaths while you're ramping up the tension, all right, which we'll talk about. And as you do that exhale, I want you to think about what that rib cage is doing, traveling downwards the way that we did on the floor, bringing it in and wrapping round, all right? Okay, let's start by just doing a couple of cat camels in your own time. Now, we've got lots of bones in the spine, so we do want to think about spine segmentation. So each vertebrae moving, all right, as on its independently and then strung together interdependently to make that nice spinal wave type motion. All fours position, all right, on fists if you've got dodgy wrists. We'll start neutral. We want to start then tucking tailbone underneath. So start by tucking that tailbone underneath. Think about what you just did on the wall. Think about those hamstrings sort of contracting here, pulling that tailbone underneath. And then a nice controlled breath. But when you do breathe out, I want you thinking about breathing out further than you would normally. Curl up through the lower back now. Soft elbows here, up through the mid back. Once you feel like you're over the top of the sternum, take a breath in. As you breathe out, take that sternum away from the floor as you curl even more. It's okay to push into the shoulder blades here, all right? But just be aware that that shoulder blade's not spine. And then take your chin down towards your chest and finish off that flexion portion of cat-cow. Take another breath in. Think about expansion out. As you breathe out, think about that rib cage giving you a hug. That exhale enabled you to squeeze out a little bit more flexion. Now we're going to start to load the spine. Soft elbows again. All right, so not completely locked out. Start to load the spine by sticking the tailbone in. Sticking the tailbone towards the ceiling. All right. Twerk it, baby. Chin still stays down. So we're loading that spine. Just check that you haven't rocked backwards or forwards, hip over knees. Keep coming through that middle back now. Once you get over the sternum again, take a breath. Exhale, rib cage down, but keep extending. Through that thoracic spine, and then through the neck. Once you're in full extension, take a breath in through the nose. Breathe out. With that rib cage coming down. Back to neutral. There's a lot of chat here, a lot of talking from me, talking about breathing. If you've kind of lost it or you never got it in the first place, just breathing normally. All right, that's absolutely fine. If you're watching me, you may have noticed that I just don't have a huge amount of movement in my thoracic spine. That is part of my own practice that I have to keep. So if you think, wow, it's going quite slowly, and then all of a sudden there's this big chunk that moves, that's because I don't have independence of those vertebrae sort of in my mid-back region. So in my own practice, I would then go in and try to specifically train just those areas, all right? We don't have the time to do that today, and this is not my session, this is your session, all right? Right, so that's the whole piece. I want to now bias just the lower back, all right? So we want to find a position that you can just start to focus on lower back, and then we're going to do some pails and rails from there. So option 1, all right, if you have a cushion or a yoga block, is to start on all fours, all right, and then to lower down into forearms, all right. Head on the floor will work, all right, but you can protect your forehead by putting your head onto a pillow or onto a block, all right. So we start all fours, down onto forearms. And then what we're going to do is then just push over the shoulders. And you see how that now takes me into a very rounded upper back position. All right. That's going to be fixed as I then can then start just focusing on moving through my lower back. All right. If that is a tricky position for you, you got the sofa here. You could use the sofa, put your forearms on the sofa and just push up into that thoracic region, and then you can free yourself up. Okay. This normally works for most people. If you do have access to yoga block though, and you want to just try something slightly different, you can go knees wide and then take that yoga block and just put it on its end over the top of your belly button. All right. Now you're not you're not like resting on it. It's there for feedback. All right. And if that position is available to you, you can then know whether you're moving elsewhere in your spine rather than just lower through increase or decreasing pressure through this. Okay. Given the fact that I don't think everybody has got access to those, that was really for Beth and she's not here. So the lads will do this. All right. So forearms down, head on cushion or whatever. Push your shoulders forward of your elbows now. Upper back is rounded. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. Okay. Play around now with cat camel, just through the lower back. And see if there is a big urge to move through the rest of your spine. Okay. Once you've moved through cat-cow, through that lower back, I want you to come to fully rounded. So tailbone tucked underneath. All right. I want you to get as much tuck as you can through there. This is where we're going to start doing pails and rails. Okay. So your pails movement, even though you're rounded, is all the muscles that would help you stick your tailbone in the air, except you're not going to move. All right. So you're going to think about the direction of going into extension. All right. But you're going to remain in as a curled position as possible. Now, you want to take this up to 60% effort, and you're going to do that across 5 breaths. Okay. I will let you do your own breathing. I'll give you a bit of a timing. All right. And then we will then switch to rails. And after you do that, rails is all the muscles that would help you tuck even more. All right. So to get in that tailbone to really go underneath. All right. Hopefully you've just been in this position or close to it and just listening to me breathe. So getting a lot of time in this rounded position. Take a breath in. Fill up that rib cage. And now start thinking about sticking your tailbone in the air. It's an odd sensation. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. All the muscles that would help you untuck, even though you stay tucked. 4 breaths. 5 breaths. Now I want to switch. Try and tuck even more. Push up into this lower coccyx region, into that lower back. Start to really breathe that rib cage down. So you try and tuck that tailbone even more. 2 breaths. You can actually think about pulling your knees towards your elbows. That may help. With each exhale, tuck that tailbone underneath. Last breath. And relax. Just go back to now. Tailbone in the air. take it to its end range, and then round up. Tailbone in the air. Round up. Don't worry if you don't have as much movement as me. All right, it's the intention that's the important bit. All right. Again, being in this position here, head down, enables you to fix that upper back. So you know you're not doing any of the work there, just enables you to focus on this lower section. I want you to now go into full extension. So that means tailbone in the air now, belly button down towards the floor. And then we're going to do some pails and rails here. So it's the opposite. Pails in this instance is directional force, all the muscles that would help you round up, even though you're going to stay in that extension. Okay. 5 breaths, really focusing on the exhales, getting that ribcage down. And then the rails is going to be to try and take that tailbone into the air even more. So here we go. Take a breath. With each breath, ramp it up a bit more. All the muscles that would help you round up now. This is a very bizarre kind of loading. 2 breaths. It's almost like you're pulling your knees and elbows together. Most of the weight here should be in your forearms, not your neck. Last breath. And rails contraction, try and pull deeper into that shape. So deeper into extension, tailbone in the air. Each exhale, breathing that ribcage down. Trying to get the back of your tailbone to touch the back of your head. Keep pulling, keep sticking that tailbone in the air. 3, 2, 1. And back to just a few cat camels now. In and out, in and out. Okay. Oh, well, I just had a pang of anxiety there, thinking, God, this is quite niche, isn't it? But as I said, I've been dying to do this class for a while, and you've got to just get in it to win it. If it hasn't gone your way so far, if you're just, finding position or the understanding of what I'm asking for difficult, just talk to me afterwards, all right? Whether that be the breathing or the pails and rails movements there, okay? We can go over it again. What's important is that we're trying to find the right intention, even if you feel like your position doesn't match mine. It's not as big a concern. Okay, thoracic bias. So we've done that lower back. Let's get into thoracic bias. Now, this might not be the most comfortable position for everybody. So you can lean forward, or you could put a cushion in between. All right, as long as we can now tuck that tailbone underneath. So we're going to fix this position, and then we can then play around with what's going on with the rib cage. Now, I would say that you might not see a huge amount of movement here, because as discussed from doing the original cat camels, I don't have a huge amount of movement in my thoracic. So you'll have to listen to my intention cueing if you can't see me moving. Hopefully, this is not too uncomfortable for a lot of people. So this is me in neutral spine, and then going to tuck my tailbone underneath. All right, so now fix that rounded position. Hands in front, all right? And what we're looking for is opening and rounding through that rib cage region, all right? So try to get to grips with that now. Taking your sternum towards the floor, and then sternum away. Towards the floor, eyes up, away from the floor, eyes down, okay? As you bring your sternum towards the floor and you go into extension, you can think about pushing your hands away. As you come into flexion, pulling your hands towards you. All right, so that's the kind of movement that we want. We'll do pails and rails again from each position. Tailbone tucked underneath. Let's go into flexion first. So think about pulling your hands towards you, sternum away from the floor, eyes down towards the carpet. Okay, pails is all the things, all the muscles that would help you lift that chest up, essentially. All right, so take a breath in. Now you can start thinking about pushing your hands away from you, even though you're in full rounded position. You're trying to take your eye line up towards the ceiling, trying to take your sternum up towards the ceiling. Even though it's an isometric, that's the intention, that's the direction. Another breath. Even though we're rounded, let's think about trying to contract all the muscles that would help you take that sternum towards the floor, ceiling. Take a breath. Last one, breathe in. Expansion of the ribcage out. All muscles that would help you look up towards the ceiling. And now switch. Start thinking about pulling your hands backwards and really round up as much as you can. Another 5 breaths. With each exhale, breathe that ribcage down, sternum comes away from the floor. Breathe in. Pushing those hands down to the floor quite hard now, dragging them towards your knees. Breathe in. Last one. As you breathe out, sternum away. And dial that down. Stay tucked in the lower back. Open. Round. Open. Certainly a lot more movement now. So you will be able to see me move, but it's not coming from my ass. That stays tucked. If you found the lower back one difficult, a lot of people are very stuck up there. So again, intention is more important than position. Right, let's go. Pails and rails in the extended position. So tailbone tucked underneath. Extension is pushing your hands away, sternum up towards the ceiling or towards the wall in front of you. Make sure that you can take one breath there to make sure that you're at your end range of extension. Breathe that ribcage down. All the muscles that would help you then round out, even though you're not going to move. Take a breath in. Then you can start thinking about pulling your hands towards you, even though you've stayed in extension. Breathe in. Breathe out. With each breath, more pressure into the floor, more contraction of the muscles that would help you round out. Breathe in. Breathe out. You're thinking about rounding your back, even though you're not moving. Last breath in. And switch. Push your hands away from you. Sternum towards the floor. Eye line up towards the ceiling. Contract everything on the back here to pull you into more extension. Pushing those hands away from you. Breathe. It's like you're trying to rear up like a cobra. Think about that rib cage breath that we talked about right at the beginning, traveling down towards the hips. Contract Oh my goodness. And dial down. Without moving in the low back, round. Hopefully everybody feels like now across those shoulder blades, they've done some work. Okay. Pails and rails, definitely a technique. It's sort of an entry-level, safe way of getting load into the end range positions, but it's not the only technique we use. All right, we've got passive range holds, passive range liftoffs, and we've used those techniques for things like lifting, opening, hovering, circles, all those things. Those are available to us at Spine. Okay, so people are going to be face down now. We're going to do a passive range hold for spinal extension or thoracic extension. So we're going to work that position that we just sort of pushed into end range in the upper portion of your back. And this is what it looks like. If you don't have the room behind you like me, don't worry, you can bend your knees, that's fine. It's face down. All right. And what we're doing is extending the spine. All right. So my hip bones are on the floor. I'm going to try and stay. I'm going to try and squeeze my bum and just peel so that my sternum comes off the floor. That's the first thing. All right. And then come down again. And I just want you to get used to that. Some people will have more room there. All right. You might be able to get up even a bit higher. All right. That's also fine. If you can only get to here because you don't have that room, again, that's your end range. That's fine. Passive range hold is about going to your end range. We then back out of it a little bit. We contract everything that would help you stay there and then remove the passive support. So what I'm looking to do for me is I push into my end range. I tighten up all those muscles that would help me stay in this position. Breathe in, breathe out, rib cage down. And then I'm trying to release my hands off the floor. Now, lifting your hands off the floor is not going to be an option for everybody. So you're just looking for reduced pressure into the floor. All right. So if you can't do the lift, all right, or you only bending from the elbows, not pulling up with your spine, all right, or you're doing it and you're just lifting up through your lower back. Remember, we want to be working this thoracic region here. Just having less weight into your arms will do the trick. All right, that'll get enough training there. Okay, so everybody face down, breathe in. As you breathe out, rib cage down, and just bring yourself into thoracic extension as far as you can go. Back out of it a little bit. Take a breath. Contract everything on the back that would help you stay there, and then try to remove the passive support. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax down. Again, we want to be contracting most of all through this upper portion of your back, not pulling into this lower region. All right. Extend. Shoulder blades into the back pockets. Take yourself to your end range. Back out of that end range just a little bit. Contract everything that would help you stay there without your hands. Don't pull into the low back and start to release pressure into the passive supports, i.e. your forearms. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4. If you can't hold for 10, don't worry. All right, do what you can. focus on that tissue in the rib cage or on top of the rib cage. All right. Get it away from here. If that means that you have to go a lower intensity or you have to ramp up slower, fine. Last one. Take a breath. Exhale. Extend off the floor. For most of us, that's going to be sternum just off the floor. Back out of that a little bit. So chest towards the floor. Contract everything around your spine, shoulder blades. Try to remove the passive support or pressure there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice. Okay. With slightly different setups, you could do that for lower back as well. All right. One thing I do want to say about the lower back is that sometimes opening up the hips a little bit, hip internal rotation in particular, can free up some of that space in the lower back. So if you've had lower back pain before, even though we've never done the spine class before, but you found that it went away when you started coming to class and doing a little bit more of this, or taking hip mobility a little bit more seriously in your own practice, and some of that lower back went away, then that makes sense to me, because sometimes this back, right, has to do the job of the hip because it doesn't have enough room in the hip. All right, so you're trying to do what the back does and the hip does because you lack stuff in here. So if you found that, that's normal. All right. Right, back to where we started now with a thoracic car. All right, except I want you to do it at what we call like a level 2 effort. So when we do warm-up cars, it's about breathing, it's about greasing the wheels. Now I want you to really push to the edge, spend an extra second or an extra breath in each position, and maintain a higher tension as you go through. All right, again, try to remember your mental notes from where you did this at the beginning. Does it feel different? Hopefully the answer is yes. Give yourself a nice big hug. You can do this from standing if you want to, or you can do it from a tall kneeling position. All right, I might do tall kneeling actually. No, I won't, because I did it like this. So for direct comparison, forward fold, right to the end. So we trained a little bit of that flexion. Keep as flexed as possible as you rotate to the side. Now rotation we haven't done, so if this doesn't feel freed up, that's fine. Right shoulder, right pocket. Max that out. Extend sternum towards the ceiling. Stay right hand side flex. As you come across the body, do you feel a little bit more open through that upper back now? Keep the tension. Left shoulder, left pocket. Still extended though. Forward fold. Still over to the left. And then back to the middle. Rotate. Take a breath. Left shoulder, left pocket. Like I said, push to the edges. Exhale. Open up this side. Sternum towards the ceiling. Nice and slow, right to the edge. Across. High tension. Rotate. That's the level 2 car. We're coming back to that in a second. I want to do another breathing drill, the most advanced one. If this doesn't work for you, all right, because of the position of the hips, just do the previous one where we reached. Okay, so it's still a reach, all right. But if you want to give a go to being in this hip extended position, okay, and then you can reach that way and that way. If that doesn't work for you because you're slipping on the carpet or you just don't really feel like you've tied the ribcage in, just do it from here. That's fine again. So let's start, if you want to, the tailbone off the floor, up, squeeze the bum, nice straight line here. We're not going up into the low back, chest and rib cage is down. Squeeze the bum for grim death. Breathe in, expansion out, not up. Breathe out, rib cage comes in, hands up, reach across, reach across. Hands back, breathe in. You can see because my rib cage is wrapping, elbows coming off the floor, stay in that position as you reach over. 1, 2, oh my goodness, my ass is killing me. Breathe in. Reach. Ribs are flat. Breathe in. Keep tucking. Rib cage down. And relax. Whew. Up we come again. Last thoracic car, level 2. Let's go the opposite way to the way we normally go. So I normally go right first. If you've been joining me right, go left. If you're doing the opposite, do the opposite. Yeah? Forward fold. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, rotate. Breath in. As you exhale, left shoulder, left pocket. Open up this side, contract. Left side. Breathe in as you exhale, pardon me, sternum up towards the ceiling. Notice I'm still flexed to the left. Breathing rib cage down. Up and across. Breathe out. Breathe in. Right shoulder, right pocket. Forward fold. Rotate. Breathe in. Remember, you push into the edges, higher tension, left shoulder, left pocket. Crunch, actively crunch. Don't just let gravity take you. Sternum up towards the ceiling. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out, left shoulder, left pocket. Keep that tension as you come around forward fold. And finish. Right. Oh, I'll be very interested to know how that went for people. All right. Does it work just doing that spine focus? All right. I enjoy teaching that. I think it's but you know, does that just serve my ego as like, because it's difficult to teach just one thing? All right. So please put that into writing, WhatsApp, email. Hopefully, because it's been a while since we've done class, or I turned up to a class. That we, you know, just familiarizing ourselves once again with pails and rails, doing something completely new, but using the same tools that we would normally use with hip. Hopefully there was some, you know, there was some good learning that went on there, even if you did feel like I need to do it a couple of times more to, you know, sort of really understand intention, position. The breathing, hopefully that kind of made sense. The last thing I would say on that is breathe out more, get this rib cage to come down, and that will take tension away from here. All right, more to come on that breathing in other sessions. Let me unplug. And then if anybody's got anything immediate they want to say, yeah. Hello. All right, Shu.
I enjoyed that.
Good. Thanks, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I'll take you up on that beer just as soon as I buy this bloody house. And we're back in London. But as you can see, I'm in the casting room in Berkshire. Shu, have you gone back to, if you're still here, is he still here?
Yeah.
Have you gone back to rugby, mate? How's the hamstring?
No, man, no. I'm just getting back into things.
Fine.
So,
well,
yeah.
Good to have you.
Yeah. Enjoyed
good
the
to have you here.
Yeah, I enjoyed the breathing bit.
Good. Okay. Well, if you want to know a little bit more about that, you want to discuss it, you can always WhatsApp me. That's fine. Tim's still here. A lot of that, Tim, you're already doing in your own sessions, right? So the breathing, maybe you picked up a few more things there. Maybe it was nice just to do some spine stuff rather than all the other nonsense of what you're doing.
Yeah. When you get to be an old man, Matt, the spine becomes, and the bad back starts to become more of a feature. So that was good.
It's not even. I put this into my lads group, and as in specifically the new dads group. They're in their early to mid 30s, and all their backs are fucked. Not a single one of them took me up on it. The only way to get out of it is to keep moving and to keep learning. Doing nothing, just a steady.
Well, tell them, Matt, they don't want to wait until they're 50 or 49 to start properly doing it. Right, do it now. Right, invest in it now.
Well, exactly.
Excellent. All right, mate. Thanks very much.
Okay, mate. Well, let's email me. Let's talk about getting either online or in person this week. Some new stuff in your program. All right.
Yeah, good stuff.
God bless.
Cheers,
Morgan,
Matt.
It's nice to see you.
You've struggled with your back a little bit. Hopefully that ties in. You've had some good relief from this, in that back, enabled you to play a couple of games of rugby, and I know that you do that diligently. Using that same technique and system with your lower back is just, probably the next piece of the puzzle to train that specifically, so you can start bulletproofing a little bit. Tails and rails as the start, and then eventually you get into loading patterns, things like that. Yeah.
Have lovely Sundays, fellas. That was good, mate. I could feel it hitting the bits. I could feel it hitting the bits that when I'm sat at my kitchen desk all day.
Excellent. All right, that's exactly what I want. All right, guys, go forth. Have a lovely time. Oosh. See you in a bit.
Cheers. Bye.